All right, here we go. So hopefully everybody can see here. All right, what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little bit of recap and getting everybody ready for the quiz on Friday. I think we're all at a kind of different spots here. I have the names of the people that have not watched the lectures here. You really want to make sure that you are watching those lectures on Mondays and Tuesdays as we go forward so that you're on top of things. But we are here now, so we'll figure this out. This way. What we're going to start with is we are going to start by talking about, and those of you that noticed yesterday the mess up on the lecture, there were two posts. The same one was posted for Monday and Tuesday. Thank you. My apologies for that. Thank you for helping me straighten that out. But we have this new schedule, and we talked about this last week. But so now that you guys are physically in front of me, I want to talk about it again. You need to come to class Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Okay, so you had lectures that were just videos on Mondays and Tuesdays this week, correct? That is not going to happen anymore because everybody's going to be back 100% of the time. What I'm just going to do on Mondays and Tuesdays is I'm going to lecture like this. So you want to call into a Google Meet. So I have you over here. And if you have any questions, you can always type into the side. Mr. DeChant is monitoring that Google Meet while this is happening. And we are going to lecture all about matter next Monday live. And the next Tuesday, matter part 2 live. And then Wednesday, we'll always have a practice day live. Okay. So now the big change is starting next week, you need to come to class and it's the same thing. It is always a Google Meet and you always write Baychem 1. Okay. That link is good for 90 days. Once it expires, it will be Baychem 2. For the second quarter, okay? So we'll try to keep it nice and easy. Then live lectures, like I said, they'll start then. They start on Monday. Your participation points, you have to come to at least one of those Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday for your participation points. We'll put yours in today because you got that. And then we're going to do some density practice today as well. On that schedule, oops, wherever my smart board's feeling kind of slow today. Thursdays, there will be no more office hours. And we're actually going to try to do a lab with you guys. You guys at home did the lab last week, so you do not need to do anything. There is a practice worksheet if you want in there for that, if you want to practice. But Thursdays when you are remote, there's nothing for you to do because we're doing a lab in school, okay? And then nothing changes. Every Friday, we will have a quiz or a test, except for like in 2 weeks from now, you don't have a class on Friday, so it'll be on Thursday instead, at the end of the week. I am now going to open my camera up for the first 10 minutes of class every Friday to see if you have any questions. Because you guys will walk in on Friday and if you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that sig fig thing real fast, I can answer it there. So if you are remote, you can always go ahead and call in the first 10 minutes of your, so about 9, 10, if you have any questions right before you want to take it. Okay, so let's talk about the quiz this Friday. As we always do on Wednesdays, your quiz on Friday has 9 questions. It's 29 points. It's going to be over the density concept, what floats, what sinks, what's the density of water, all that kind of good stuff, and the math. Now, the math isn't that challenging, but what is challenging is the significant figure piece, okay? So answers will have to be in sig figs, and you'll have to have the proper unit for those answers. And that's what we're going to practice today, both of those things, okay? Cohort B, you guys here, will physically take it 3rd period. You will take it here. If you need, Mr. DeChant can give you a small group setting if that is what you require. Cohort A, all of you at home, it is open from 7:30 until 1:30, and 1:30 it will shut. Okay, so this is just what we're going to be getting into. Monday, Tuesdays lectures, Wednesday practice, Thursday lab, Friday quiz. Monday, Tuesday lectures, Wednesday practice. It will be like this for the rest of the year. Okay. All right, so let's get into this practice, shall we? So you have your worksheet number 2 in front of you. And what we're going to do is we're going to refresh sig figs because sig figs, even though it was last week, are very important to get the correct answer this week. Remember, non-zero numbers always count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then we had 3 zeros. The zeros in the front, does anybody remember if they count? No. They do not. Thank you. And you don't have, this isn't, you're not writing this down. We're just remembering. They never count. Captive zeros in the middle always count. Thank you. And trailing zeros count only if there's what? a decimal. So if I have the number like this, well, a weird number, but let's say there is a decimal here. Leading zeros never count. Captive zeros always count. Trailing zeros count because there is a decimal. Okay? Wonderful. The rule that you have to remember is when you're multiplying and dividing, you look at the number of sig figs in the weakest measurement that controls how you round. So we should all remember this from last week. Then this week in lecture number 1, we talked about what sinks and what floats, and I did a bunch of demonstrations for you. And then in lecture number 2, we talked about the actual math, and I used this little triangle with you. Okay? If you want to find, you either remember that you love density, and that looks like an M over a V, okay? Or if you want to find V, what do? M divided by D. Or if you want to find M, if they're next to each other, what their operation are you going to do with these two? You're going to multiply. Okay, so that little triangle will be up there for you on your quiz to help you remember how to change and do the algebra. If you like, hey, I just plug in and solve for X, that is awesome as well. Okay, all right, let's get into our practice worksheet. So everybody's on practice worksheet number 2. Pick up your pencil. If you have a calculator, fire it up. Let's get it going. All right, so I'm going to help you rearrange this. If you want to find density, what are we going to do? We're going to do M over V. If you want to find volume and I cover up V, I'm going to do M over D. And if I want to find M, we just said D times V. Okay. So if you have this triangle, which I will put on all of the quizzes, you should always be able to figure out what you need to do mathematically. Okay. Then the hardest part is to read it and get your sig figs at the end. Question number 1. If a block of wood has a density of 0.6 grams per centimeter cubed. Actually, you know, we could do one other thing first real fast. Density is, for the unit, is either grams per milliliter or grams per centimeter cubed. Correct? Those are the units for that. Does anybody know the units for volume? It's either, if it's liquid, it is milliliters or centimeters cubed, and mass is always grams. That's all the information then you'll need. And we did all of that on the lecture on Tuesday. Okay. Awesome. So back down here. Sorry about that to like interrupt. If the block of wood has a density of 0.6 grams per centimeter cubed and a mass of 121 grams, what is its volume? So what am I trying to find? Trying to find volume. So I personally write this. You do not necessarily have to, but I say volume is mass divided by density. Volume is mass divided by density. And if I'm reading up here, I see that 121 grams is my mass. We're on density worksheet number 2. Over the density. Does everybody see where I'm getting those numbers from? And I'm plugging them in. Awesome. Fired up my calculator. 121 divided by 0.6. Perfect. We get a big old number that comes out of our calculator that says 201.66, correct? Now, that number is all good and everything, but we're in science class, so we need to worry about significant figures. So let's talk sig figs, my friends, shall we? They're always the worst, it seems like, but it's okay. How many significant figures do you see in 121? Hold up some figures. How many do you see? You see 3, correct? Careful, careful, because do leading zeros ever count? I know. How many sig figs do you have in the second one? Oh, so remember you pick the smaller number. How many significant figures can I have in my final answer? Oh, I can only have 1. What number is very close to 201.6, but it only has one sig fig? Can anybody tell me? 200. Perfect. 200 without a decimal. Because if I had that decimal, oh, those zeros are significant all of a sudden. And then you can either say, I'm trying to find volume, so you know that it's one of those two, or if you look in your equation here, because it's a solid, you have to use the centimeters cubed. Okay, the grams cancel out, and I'm just left with centimeters cubed. So you can either memorize it or you can pull it out of your actual equation. Okay, so the unit is centimeters cubed. On your quiz, you will have to be able to give me the right answer in sig figs and the correct unit. Feeling it? Let's do one more. Keep it going here. What volume of an aquarium that is 198,000 milliliters? Oh, I'm sorry. The volume of an aquarium is 198,000 milliliters, and the density of seawater is 1.03 grams per milliliter. What is the mass of the aquarium? So I'm going to find mass. So my unit is going to be D times V, using my little triangle. So I like to write what I got going on here. Now I'm going to use the information in the problem. And I'm going to say density is 1.03. I'm going to multiply that by a giant number. This number is like extra big for just for fun for sig figs at the end. Okay. When I multiply that together, I'm going to get a really big number. That really big number that I get, where did I put you, is 194,670. Now, I wrote this one to be really mean as far as sig figs go. Okay, so this is going to be a toughie on the sig figs. How many sig figs do I have in my first number? Give me some fingers. 3. There is no decimal here. Oh, and this needs another 0 when I was typing it. Excuse me. Here, how many sig figs? 3 again. Ooh, buddy. So that means I can only have 3 sig figs in my final answer. So I needed to go this far, but I can't lose my number completely. I need it to be about 194,670. But this 6 is going to tell this 4 to do what? Go up to 5. So we're not looking at this. If I want 3 sig figs, you need 195,000. Okay. I will not make these sig figs this hard on the quiz. I was just kind of giving you a few, and they should be easier after that. I want to do some harder figs with you here. Last thing we do have to do is the unit. Does anybody remember what the unit is for mass? Grams. Very good. Grams. Perfect. And you can see that the milliliters cancel out and they leave you with grams anyways. Okay. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to make one small adjustment to this next one here. One small adjustment here. The number is 400.00. Let's take out that last 0. It's just unnecessary at this point, making them kind of hard. So I want you guys to do this one. I'm going to walk around and see if you can get this one on your own. It says we have a 400 milliliter bottle. Now, the thing is, it didn't tell you if that was mass, volume, or density. But what is milliliters? That is volume. So this is my volume. It's filled with nitric acid. And as it's filled, this is the mass of the acid. What is the density? So I need you to find the equation for density. Then I need you to do it. Then I need to put your final answer with unit in sig figs. I'm going to put the jams on quietly, and I'm going to come around and see who can get this answer. And then we're going to talk a little bit of concept, and then we're going to let you keep practicing, okay? You guys are doing good. I'm going to check in and see how you're doing. All right. How are you doing? Are you good? Wonderful. I like that. How you doing?
One of them.
Yeah. Okay. Otter, how are we doing?
Yeah, so that's only like.
How are we doing here, sir? Did you watch the lecture from Monday?
Oh, yeah.
Jake,
I'm
I'm
different than most. I don't like.
Gotcha.
That's
So
typical.
it's just you did the lecture questions underneath. You did them? Perfect. So
I can tell you though.
for this next one, you're gonna
Oh, sad.
we're gonna hold on to them because the six are, oh, this is that quiz last week that you didn't take. So you have to keep
That's what I'm.
3 significant figures, but we have to keep the number near 194,000. This 6 is going to make me round it to 195,000. Without that decimal, these are 3 significant figures, and that's the only thing that is significant. Okay, that one's a very, very hard example. Let's have you try this one, and let's see where we go from there. Okay. It was? Yeah.
You might have some stuff to do.
Gotcha.
Because you have
Gotcha.
but did you do anything for this?
Yeah.
Painter?
We gotta find some time to take that quiz though, man. You said that you were gonna do it, and then, you know. So we'll talk. We'll figure it out. Why don't you focus on that? So, how
Oh,
you
okay, I
doing?
think you did then.
I can see online. You're online. You're gonna watch it and we're gonna. All right, let's come back together here very quickly. And then those of you that did not watch the lectures, I'm going to give you a chance to do so. So let's go through this one here. Density is mass over volume. A lot of you got that. Beautiful. So you're going to take your mass, put it over your volume. When you plug it into your calculator, you get 15.1. That looks like such a pretty number. But remember insignificant figures. Give me some fingers here. How many significant figures in the top number? 5. How many significant figures in the bottom number? 4. So which one do we need? 4 sig figs. 15.1. That got 4 sig figs. How do you make it have 4 sig figs? Thank you. So your answer that you will need to pick in the Schoology quiz would not be 15.1. It would be 15.10. And then the unit for density, if I have milliliters and I have grams in my problem, you just figure it is grams per milliliter. Okay? Awesome. So we're going to take a break with the math. You're going to come back to it in just a second. But what I want to do, flip that paper over really fast. We will finish the front before you walk out of here. There's only one more. But I want to go over the concept really fast. Does anybody remember in the lecture from Monday, what is the density of water? 1. Okay, you might want to jot that off to the side if you want on the back. Density of water is 1. If I were to put something into water that is more dense, would it float or sink? If it is more dense, sinks. And if it is less dense, it will float. So I have this little practice problem for you, but I don't want to give you the answers to this. So put your pencil down for a hot second. Let's look up here. I have all of these liquids accidentally spilled into this tube. I know that this clear one is water. What does the density of that clear one have to be? We just said good. That is 1. So you're just watching this. We're just watching this to practice for the next problem you're going to do. Okay. Now, I have 3 other densities sitting up here. I have 1.5, 0.20, and 2.19. Which color liquid do you think has to be the 0.2? The blue one, because the less dense things rise to the top. Okay, I'm going to tell you, I don't know where my box went. I don't know the density of that liquid. Okay. So which number do you think now is going to be the density of my liquid that's at the very, very bottom? Beautiful. So when you're talking about things are going to sink or float, the less dense things float and the more dense things sink. So this one will have to be right here. Now, if I asked you, what do you think the relative or the range of density might be for the red one? Can it be a density of 5? Can it be a density of 0.5? What density is it possible? Between what and what?
Between 1 and 1.
Perfect. So if we wanted to make it a little bit kind of easier here, it has to be, we can say it can be at least between 1.1 and 1.4. So even if I don't tell you directly the density, you can figure it out by figuring out where it is residing, okay? Last thing, I have a little ball here, and I'm telling you this ball has a density of 1.7 grams per centimeter cubed. Is there any difference in milliliters and grams per or centimeters cubed? There is not. Remember from the lecture, 1 milliliter is equal to 1 centimeter cubed. So we can compare all of these. I want to know if it will sink in the liquid or if it will float. So if I drop my ball in here, boop, is it going to sink in the blue liquid? Yes. Is it going to sink in the water? Yes. Is it going to sink in the red liquid? Yes. Is it going to sink in the green liquid? Is it going to sink in the bottom liquid? No. So when you toss it in there, it would stop right there. Just like the magic golf ball that we did in the third cylinder where it stopped right in the middle on top of that salt water. Okay? So that is a little refresher on how, because like I said, I didn't want to give you the answers here. Now I want you to take that information and I want you to try to do the rest of this. I would like to know which liquid is the least dense. Is honey, do you think it has a greater or smaller density than water? Do you think if you put a piece of wood in here, where would it go? Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to check on the students that have called in at home. But what I want, here, let me give you one more instruction before we go. Because then I'm going to let you go and I'm going to get people that haven't watched the lecture to watch the lecture. I would like everybody to open up their Chromebook really fast. Go ahead and open it up. Go into Wednesday's folder. Go into Wednesday's folder. You're in week 6. Wednesday's folder. Live class 9:30. Thanks for coming. And I would like everybody to do week 6 participation points. You're going to get 10 participation points for being here. And then if you would like, if you don't have the parent packet, which has all the answer keys in it, I also have the answer key for this worksheet right here. So put in your participation points, and then I want you to finish this worksheet. How much time do we have left? We got about 15 minutes remaining. So I'm going to check in with the people that are calling in from home, people that are around here. If you did not watch the lectures yet, go into Monday and Tuesday's folder and watch those lectures. If you have headphones, probably the best way. But everybody else here, you are getting ready, putting in your participation points and getting ready for the quiz. Tomorrow we're going to do a lab and practice this a little bit more, okay? So I'm going to put the music on quietly, check in with my people that are called in from home so they can get their participation points. And then, like I said, if you have not watched these lectures, start in on Monday.